Hello learners, welcome to our NIS studio. We are talking about Senior Secondary Environmental Science course of NIOS. I am Nilam Gupta, course coordinator of Environmental Science. Welcome you all in this program. As we know, we all need energy for doing any work. We get energy to do our work from food which we have taken. Plants get energy from sun to prepare their own food, from water, sunlight, carbon dioxide, minerals, and vehicles. In case of vehicle works due to petrol, diesel, CNG as a fuel. So we can say that energy is the capacity to work and power is the rate of energy delivery. So energy is essential for most of the activities of modern society too. So the use of its use or consumption is generally taken as an index of standard of living. So we use energy in the form of firewood, fossil fuels and electricity to make life comfortable, easy and convenient. At home, we are talking about home, so we use electricity for our lights and fans, ACs, water heater, room heaters, oven, microwave, washing machine and dryers too. We use petrol, diesel, CNG as we say for our own cars, buses, autos, or we can say transportation. Large amount of energy is consumed in agriculture and industry too. In offices, we use energy to run our ACs, fan, light, computer, photocopying machine and many other more devices too. So we use fossil fuel to run buses, trucks, train, aeroplanes, ships, and so we can say transportation sector uses a large percentage of all the energy used. So during this program we will talk about the role of energy in society or importance of society energy. This is lesson 27B. It's a module 8B optional module, energy environment of your EVS course. So during this program we will discuss concept of energy, importance of energy in humans for human society, law of thermodynamics, that is first law and second law, and various types of resources, energy sources. It cater renewable energy resources and non-renewable energy resources. So let us begin this program by defining what is energy. We have already told energy is the ability to work, and energy from the sun gives us light during day. We all know this energy energy used to dry our clothes when they are hanging outside on a clothesline. Solar sun energy getting from the sun helps plant and crop to grow. Energy stored in plants is eaten by animals, giving energy them, and predator animals eat herbivores as in the form of prey, their prey, which gives them energy. So when we were talking about food chain, this cycle reflects that. We can take for little bit detail about the energy of the sunlight is absorbed by the green plants during the process of photosynthesis, and this solar energy is stored as a chemical energy in the form of food or biomass, because plants prepare their food themselves, so they are called autotrophs. When we talk about human beings, so when we eat food, our body transform the energy stored in food into energy to do work. When we talk, we run, walk, think or read, we burn food energy in our body, but where does this energy came from? Answer is from food. So there are some laws which governs the energy, and we know laws of thermodynamics. First we would ask one question who discovered thermodynamics? So answer will be Julius Robert Mayer and James Prescott, Joule, are generally considered to be the creator of the first law of thermodynamics in 1840. Nicholas Leonard Sadi Carnot is often described as the father of thermodynamics. So, now we will discuss about first law of thermodynamics. This law deals with conservation of energy. It states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but can only change from one form to another form. Second law of thermodynamics deals that in every energy transformation, some energy is always lost in the form of heat, which is unavailable to do further useful work. Or we can say another way, no energy transformation is 100% efficient, that is at each energy transformation some energy lost as waste heat and dissipated into the environment. So, heat is familiar to everyone because we all know how it feels in hot summer and cold winter days. Degree of hotness of a body can be measured with the thermometer, which contains a fluid that expands as a temperature rises, and in thermometer we use mercury. Heat is one of the many forms that energy can take, and heat is one form to energy into which all the other forms of the energy can be fully converted. So, unit of the heat is calorie or joule, which is used to express the amount of energy. If we define what is calorie, a 1 gram calorie is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water through 1 degree centigrade, and the unit in which energy value of food or any other organic matter is expressed, although it is now being replaced by joules. And how can we define joule? A practical unit of work. It is derived SI unit of the energy or work, being the work done when a force of 1 Newton displaces the point by 1 meter. So, now we come the next section, that is sources of energy. As we know, energy is important for us and there are various sources of energy, as it is essential for us in our day to day lives. So, sources of energy can be defined into two types: renewable, an energy source that can use over and over again, and non-renewable, when the energy source cannot be reused. So, in terms of renewable energy is to describe, we use renewable energy in the terms used to describe energy that comes from sources whose supplies are regenerative and virtually inexhaustible, and these sources can be replenished in a short period of time. So, some of the renewable energy sources are solar energy, biomass energy, biodiesel, hydropower, wind energy, wave energy, tidal energy, fuel, ocean energy, thermal energy, geothermal energy, and fuel cell technology. The most common energy received on our planet Earth is the direct sunlight. So, first we will talk about solar energy. Solar energy is inexhaustible and it comes to Earth in the form of visible light and infrared, and it is free. We are not paying any cost. So, we have always used energy of the sun as far back as humans have existed on this planet. People worship sun as a sun god because it is a solar energy which runs the earth. Every day we use the energy of the sun in many different ways. Without sunlight, life would not exist on planet Earth. Plants use sunlight to make their food. Animals eat plant as food. Decaying of plants hundreds of millions of years ago produce fossil fuels in the form of coal, natural gas and oil. That is what we use today is actually sunlight stored millions and millions of years ago. So, this energy can be harnessed in a variety of ways to heat home, heat water, grow plants and produce electricity. So, solar power includes active, passive and photovoltaic technology and practices. We will when we are talking about, we will talk about renewable energy sources, then we will discuss in detail active, passive and photovoltaic technologies in another program. So, second type of energy is biomass energy, and this energy is the form from organic matter such as firewood, twig, dead plant parts, cattle dung, livestock manure and dead animal matter. Plant leaves convert sunlight into chemical energy, which is stored in the plant. So, animals that eat the plants store in chemical energy in their body, and some of it also remain in manure and other waste. So, biomass fuels are renewable because the raw material can be produced simply by growing more crops, plants or collecting more organic waste. So, use of renewable energy is not new. Traditionally, wood has been as the main source of energy for thousands of years, ever since people started burning wood to cook food or to keep warm themselves. Even today, firewood and crop residues forms the largest biomass energy source and is used by rural communities and forest dwellers in their recent times also. Biogas can be produced from cattle dung, human feces and other organic waste by the process called anaerobic digestion in a biogas plant. Biogas is a clean, non-polluting and low cost fuel, and biomass fuels are obtained from agriculture waste, alcohol fuels, animal waste and municipal solid waste. Now, biomass, which would normally present a disposal problem, is converted into electricity, but many other sources of biomass can now be used, including plants residue from agriculture or forestry and other organic component of municipal and industrial waste too. Nowadays, alternative of using biomass are still discovered. One way is to produce ethanol, a liquid alcohol fuel from biomass, unlike other renewable energy sources. Biomass can be converted directly into fuel, biofuels, we can say liquid fuel or biofuels for our transportation needs. Most common type of biofuels are ethanol and biodiesel. Now, we will talk about biodiesel is obtained by trans-electrification of the vegetable oils. Electrification is the process of dehydration of alcohol to form ethers. Seed of Pongamia, Jatropha, neem are favorites for producing biodiesel. So, electrification reaction is an attractive process that can be used to convert glycerol into valued added products in the production of a fuel additive, because it plays an important role in glycerol conversion reaction. Consumer demands for clean and renewable energy have stimulated growth in green power, that is solar, wind, geothermal, biomass and hydroelectric power sources of power. So, next we will talk about hydropower. Flowing water creates energy that can be captured and turned into electricity. This is called hydroelectric power or hydropower. Hydro energy from water is also a renewable energy source. Hydroelectric energy or hydropower work is energy which is produced by the action of falling water, turning a water wheel, propeller or turbine. Almost all hydroelectric energy is used to produce electricity. Although early pioneers built water wheels, to grind grains and operate other machineries. The most common type of hydroelectric power plant uses a dam on a river to store water in a reservoir. Another type of hydroelectric power plant is called pumped storage plant that can even store power. So, next we will talk about hydroelectric power plant. The power is sent from a power grid into the electric generators, and these generators then spin the turbine backward, which causes the turbine to pump water from the river or lower reservoir to an upper reservoir where the power is stored. To use the power, the water is released from the upper reservoir back down into the river or lower reservoir. This spins the turbine forwards, activating the generators to produce electricity. So, small hydroelectric power plants or micro hydroelectric power system does not necessarily require a large dam, but just use a small canal to channel the river water through a turbine, which can produce enough electricity for a home, farm or a small village. Next, we will talk about wind energy. Wind has kinetic energy. So, kinetic energy of the wind can be changed into the other forms of the energy, either mechanical energy or electrical energy. So, when a boat lifts a sail, it is using wind energy to push it through the water. This is one form of energy. Farmers have been using wind energy for many years to pump water from wells using windmills. So, wind energy is a clean renewable energy source produced by the daily cooling and heating pattern on the surface of the earth, and it can be harnessed to produce electricity, pump water, grind grain and move sailing vessels. Next, we will talk about wave energy. Oceans and sea waves are caused indirectly by solar energy. Wave energy is derived from wind energy, which is driven by in turn from solar energy, and it may be converted into mechanical energy and then to electricity. So, now next we will talk about ocean thermal energy conversion. Conversion of solar energy stored as a heat in the ocean into electrical energy by making use of temperature difference between the warm surface water and the colder deep water. So, geothermal energy refers to energy contained in underground rock and fluids. So, although it can be used to heat homes and other buildings. So, next energy is known as geothermal energy. Geo means earth and thermal means heat. Thermal or heat energy deep within the earth may heat water or form steam. Geothermal energy is used to power steam turbines and generate electricity too. This heat is a result of the increase in temperature of earth with increasing depth below the surface. So, geothermal power energy is the energy which comes from inside the earth, that is the energy contained in underground rock and fluids. It is responsible for heating of water of hot water springs. Next type of energy is fuel cell technology. Fuel cells are devices that directly convert hydrogen into electricity. To use hydrogen, it must be separated from these other elements. Hydrogen as a fuel is high in energy and a very promising clean fuel. So, hydrogen is a colorless, odorless gas found on earth only in a combination with other elements such as oxygen, carbon and nitrogen. So, a fuel cell converts hydrogen and oxygen from the air into electricity. A machine that burns pure hydrogen produces energy and pure water without causing any pollution. Fuel cells are a promising technology for use as a source of heat and electricity in building as an electrical power source for vehicles. Some algae and bacteria also using sunlight as their energy source give off hydrogen under certain conditions. Large amount of energy is needed to produce hydrogen from water. So, it will not come into its own as a clean alternative until renewable energy is widely available for the process. So, in future hydrogen could substitute electricity as an important energy carrier. An energy carrier is stored, moved and delivers energy in a usable form to consumer. So, renewable energy sources like sun cannot produce energy all the time. So, the sun does not always shine, but hydrogen can store this energy until it is needed and can be transported to whenever it is required. This is all about different type of energy, and now we will move to next type of energy, that is non-renewable energy. That is, what is non-renewable energy? These are energy sources which cannot renew in our lifetime. So, non-renewable energy sources have limited amount of stock available. The regeneration rate of non-renewable energy sources is negligible when compared with the rate of consumption. So, non-renewable energy that we are using up cannot be recreated in a short period of time, or at least we can say, we have already said, in our lifetime. And fossil fuels can be keep in this category, and fossil fuels are very important energy sources. So, fossil fuels, where we find? Fossil fuels are found under the ground or below the sea floor. Under the ground we find coal, lignite and peat, and below the sea floor petroleum in liquid and gaseous forms. Fossil fuels are the remains of ancient plants and animal life found on earth. Fossil fuel energy is released in the form of heat. So, first we will talk about oil or petroleum. Is a liquid fossil fuel that is found under the ground and below the sea floor. Fossil fuels were formed before and during the time of the dinosaurs, when plant and animals died. Their decomposed remains gradually changed over the years to convert coal, oil and natural gas. So, oil and natural gas is formed by complex decay process from microscopic life forms called phytoplanktons. They are tiny plants which are known as algae. They float in the world's ocean millions of years ago, just like today's phytoplanktons. They harnessed and stored the solar energy through the process of photosynthesis. Zooplankton are the very tiny organisms. They are tiny animals which eat phytoplanktons, but themselves are the main food for the fish and some whales. When these myriads of tiny floating plants died, they sank into the sea floor and got buried and slowly hardened into rocks. Heat from the earth's interior and the weight of the overlying rock gradually changed the energy containing substances in the buried phytoplanktons into liquid hydrocarbons and gases. Hydrocarbons are simple molecules made up of carbon and hydrogen atoms joined together in chain or in ring form. These molecules, being light and mobile, migrated upward through the rock, but eventually became trapped beneath impermeable rock structure in the earth crust. So, petroleum is one of our most vital resource, and petroleum provides about 40% of the commercial energy used in the world. So, during the past 30 years, consumption of petroleum has grown more steeply than other energy sources. Fossil fuels took millions of years to form, or we are using up the fuels formed more than 65 million years ago. They cannot be renewed, they cannot be made again. So, we can save fossil fuels by conserving them and finding ways to harness energy from seemingly endless sources like the sun and the wind. So, we will take a short break. After a break, we will discuss we will continue this importance of energy in society.
प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो, धन साधन समय की सीमा से
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी बातें। शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बहुत,
कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने। हम
topic. We talk about what is energy, ability to do work. We have talked different type of energy. We have talked two laws of thermodynamics. First law says energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can only change in one form to another. The law of second law of thermodynamics states that some energy is always lost in the form of heat, which is unavailable to do further useful work. Then we talk about different type of energy sources, that is renewable sources. We said we have talked about solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, geothermal energy, and non-renewable resources we talk about coal. And we also discuss about petroleum. During the we have told the past 30 years consumption of petroleum has grown more steeply than other energy sources. So, fossil fuels took, we know, millions of years to form, and we are using fossil fuels at the alarming rate, and we cannot renew it, that cannot be made again in our lifetime. So, we save fossil fuels by conserving them and finding ways to harness energy from seemingly endless sources like sun and wind. So, we are talking about petroleum or oil. So, oil is obtained by drilling deep wells into the ground and then pumping it out. Oil can be converted into gasoline. Both oil and gasoline are burnt in automobiles and in airplanes. Or we depend on oils for 90% of our transport and for food, pharmaceutical and chemicals. Our modern ways of life is totally dependent on oil and gas. But oil industry experts estimate that current reserves will only last for about 40 years. So, we are thinking to use renewable resources of energy, or we are discovering more and more renewable energy resources. So, third non-renewable source is natural gas. Natural gas is also fossil fuel, that is a mixture of gases which are found under the ground. Natural gas is collected and transported almost the same way as oil. Natural gas burns in home furnaces and cooking ranges. It is also being used in cars and buses for transportation in the form of CNG, compressed natural gas. Now, we will talk about coal. Coal is the most common fossil fuel which was used as a primary source of energy in homes and industries. It is also found under the ground in solid form and have to be mined and transported for use. Our country has large coal reserve in Jharkhand, some part of Bihar. So, coal is mostly carbon, but contains small amount of sulfur too, and it is formed from plant, mostly trees, which grows millions of years ago in low-lying swampy areas. When these trees died, they sank to the bottom of the swamp. In the swamp, they did not rot fully as there was no air. Partially decayed plant matter in swamp and bogs is called peat, which has low heat content. So, these peats get covered by sand and mud. As water subsides, much more material is deposited on them for years, and plant matter gets converted into coal under pressure and heat. This is plant material get metamorphosed into coal in millions of years, and this is the most plentiful fossil fuel, but it is very polluting. So, next we will talk about nuclear energy. Is a liberated from a nuclear reaction, fission or fusion, or by radioactive decay. In a conventional nuclear reactor, isotopes of uranium and plutonium undergo controlled nuclear fission, and this results heat producing produces steam that in turn spin turbine to generate electricity. So, large fuel supply, low immediate environmental impact, low emission of carbon dioxide, low chances of accidents because of multiple safety systems make this energy a much wanted resource. Unlike other energy resources, nuclear energy produces highly radioactive material that must be kept safely for thousands of years until their radioactivity fall to safe levels. Also, when the useful life of a nuclear reactor comes to an end, it cannot be shut down and abandoned like a coal burning plant. It contains large quantities of radioactivity material that must keep out of the environment for many thousands of years. So, safety features make nuclear power plants very expensive to build and maintain. So, however, management of the nuclear waste disposal, its vulnerability to a terrorist attack and misuse of the technology for making nuclear weapon make it a difficult choice, and it remains world's slowest growing energy source. So, next we will talk about worrying sign. A couple of centuries ago, virtually everyone would have depended on the fuel that could find within a short distance from home. Now, scenario has been changed. Fuel required for heat and light travel vast distances to reach us, sometimes crossing not only continents but political and cultural watersheds on the way. These distances created a whole host of challenges, from oil related political instability to the environmental risk of long distance pipelines. So, also we cannot use fossil fuel forever as they are non renewable and finite sources. The International Energy Agency says that world will need almost 60% more energy in 2030 than in the 2002, and fossil fuels will still meet most of our needs. Not everyone depends on the fossil fuel. Nearly a third of today's world population has no electricity or other modern energy supplies, and another third have only limited access. So, this is a figure shows fact and figures on soaring global energy demand from 1971 to 2030. So, however, we can also get energy to do several jobs at once as combined heat and power plants do, and we can use less of it by becoming energy efficient. Cheap available energy is essential for ending poverty. Ending poverty is the key to easing the pressures on the planet from the abjectly poor who have no choice what to eat, the seed corn. Our energy use is unsustainable, but we already know that what a benign alternative would look like. So, but large amount of energy are needed to produce hydrogen from water. So, it will not come into its own as a clean alternative and until renewable energy is widely available for the process. So, dear learners, before we wrap up, we would like to recap the main points in the form of what we discussed today. Energy is refined as ability to do work and power is the rate of energy delivery. It is required by all living organisms including humans. Nothing can move or work without the use of energy. Behavior and transformation of energy is strictly governed by the laws of thermodynamics. First law states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Second law of thermodynamics states that energy transformation are never 100% efficient, that is, at each step of energy transformation, some amount of energy is lost as waste heat. Conventional unit of measuring energy is gram calorie. various energy sources are broadly divided into two categories, that is renewable and non-renewable. Renewable energy is the term used to describe energy that comes from sources whose supplies are regenerative and virtually inexhaustible. The most important and inexhaustible source of energy is sun or solar energy. Solar energy is harnessed by green plants by the process of photosynthesis for making their food, and the biomass which is subsequently used as energy source by animals including man. Other renewable energy sources includes biomass, solar energy, wind energy, hydroelectric energy, geothermal energy, tidal energy or wave energy. Non-renewable resources have limited amount of stock available. The regeneration rate of non-renewable energy sources is negligible when compared with the rate of consumption. Fossil fuels are the important non-renewable energy sources. Fossil fuels, coal, lignite, peat, gas, oil are found under the ground and below the sea floor in liquid and gaseous forms. Fossil fuels are the remains of ancient plant and animals life found on earth. Fossil fuels energy is released in the form of heat. Fossil fuel is hydrocarbons and they include coal, peat, lignite, petroleum and natural gas. And there is growing emphasis to promote the use of renewable energy sources to reduce our dependence on fossil fuel, because the later will exhaust it soon. So, growing of fossil fuels has increased the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, leading to global warming and climate change. Fossil fuels, we know, are non-renewable resources and finite sources, and we cannot use them forever. Nuclear energy is liberated by the nuclear reaction or by radioactive decay. Nuclear power is generated in a specially designed nuclear power plant and that converts nuclear energy into useful forms such as mechanical or electrical power. In a nuclear electric power plant, heat produced by the reactor is generally used to make steam to drive a turbine that in turn drives as electric generator. So, this is all about importance of energy in for society. I will meet again to come your new program of environmental science. Till then, goodbye and thank you.